Welcome back to the Super Sim series, where I've decided to make just one sim who will gain almost every trait, master every skill, graduate with all of the university degrees, reach the top of every career, and complete every collection. Last episode, our Super Sim Tina realized just how fragile life is, and upon this eureka moment, she embarked on a multi-step journey to death-proof herself as a human sim, keyword being human. And so this involved taking the wolf be gone cure and leaving behind a life of eating furniture, and it also saw Tina earn some key traits that would serve to keep her alive. As part of her death-proofing plan, Tina created life-saving jewelry made from hematite, and after a short stint as a ghost, she used the power of the whispering wishing well to turn back to a human sim while making a pact with the Grim Reaper that would see her instantly be resurrected upon death. It was a pact which, according to the game notification, I thought would last forever, but as I've come to discover, the Grim Reaper may have made us a dodgy deal. That's right, Tina forgot to read the fine print. Some of you in the comments very helpfully alerted me to the fact that this pact, or the infinite resurrections, doesn't last forever. And some further testing on my part showed that while a few days following her wishing well revival, Tina was still being brought back to life, after about a week or so, her ability to instantly revive had worn off. To once again live in a world where death exists was a scary thought for Tina, but thankfully there was a relatively easy solution that many of you were already pointing out. By simply making more pieces of hematite jewelry and charging them, Tina could then rotate between them. While wearing one that was well charged and preventing any potential deaths, she'd have another charging up, ready to pop on once the first one had drained off its power. This new goal led Tina to the Crystal Crafter Aspiration, and more specifically, she sought out the reward trait, which was called Attuned. Having this trait would make it so that jewelry she wore remained charged for 50% longer, and so rather than swapping out her worn jewelry every 2 days, she'd be able to make the swap every 3. But the Attuned trait had another major perk, one which would help Tina with her next big goal. Have you ever been in bed and thought, oh my gosh, sleeping sucks? No? Well, truthfully, me neither. Sleep's the best. But Tina, well, she's a super sim. She's built differently, and on an early Wednesday morning she thought to herself, time spent sleeping is time being wasted. And she decided that the energy need, well, she was going to overcome it. That's right, Tina is daring to do the things that we don't dare to do, like purposefully get less sleep. Now you might be thinking of the Never Weary trait, which costs 10,000 satisfaction points to purchase and permanently feels the energy need. But this isn't part of the plan. Truthfully, I find traits that completely prevent her needs decay to make overall gameplay less fun. And so Never Weary, and by extension Forever Full that permanently feels hunger, Forever Fresh that permanently feels hygiene, and Needs No One that permanently feels social, all won't be purchased. Well, at least not until the very end of the series. That being said, Seldom Sleepy, which slows down energy need decay, is absolutely part of the plan, as is a good quality, fully upgraded bed, and additionally the Attuned trait, which allows Tina to absorb energy from charged crystals, increasing her energy need while draining the crystal's power. There's quite a few more very important pieces to round out Tina's plan as well, and they'll be revealed soon. After waking, Tina spent the morning fixing her needs, tending to her garden, selling her produce, and paying her bills. She then made her way to Willow Creek Park, searching for crystals and metals for her Crystal Crafter aspiration. The reality was that she found fossils and frogs, and it actually took a little bit of time scouting various areas of Willow Creek and even Oasis Springs in order to find the collectibles that she needed for the first part of her aspiration. Then upon returning home, she started working on her next goal. She needed to gift some jewelry to a sim, and she decided on an ugly bracelet with a nefarious twist. For the gemstone, Tina chose a Crantistine, and when charged, this gemstone would make Sims easier to convince and more likely to lend money to others. You've probably already cottoned on. Yes, it's for Mars. Not only would Mars love it and be grateful for the gift, but Tina would be getting even more revenge. Once made, it went straight onto the crystal grid for charging before Tina snuggled into bed. Then the following morning she fixed her needs before picking up the now charged bracelet from the crystal grid and inviting Mars out to a day riding the bunny slopes in Mount Komorebi. Honestly, it was really cute, but like most things involving Mars, there was a sinister undertone to this adorable day out. After they rode the slopes a couple of times, Tina gifted Mars the clandestine jewelry, and he was quick to wear it. And as soon as he popped that bracelet on, Tina asked him for a large 2,000 simoleon loan, and under the influence of the clandestine bracelet, or maybe just because, he agreed and handed over the funds that he was never getting back. But there was just something about Mars. Maybe it was the chiseled jawline, maybe it was because he was blue, or maybe it was because he was low-key a bit camp. Something about him just kept Tina interested, though for the time being she decided not to act on it. After returning home, Tina immediately got working on the next aspiration stage by crafting and then planting a crystal seed, before then tending to it and using her gift of Sulani power to increase its quality. Afterwards, she started creating her second piece of hematite jewelry that would prevent death, and this time she made a small mystical ring. You know, the bling necklace weighs about 300 kilos, so this was a nice contrast and a much more discreet option. Once made, she placed it onto the mystical moonlight grid where it began charging exceptionally fast thanks to the power of the full moon. The full moon fully charged it in a few hours, and so Tina popped on the fully charged ring and then took off her massive bling necklace and popped it onto the grid for charging. Wearing this fully charged hematite ring completed the second stage of the Crystal Crafter aspiration, but while the first two stages were quick to complete, the third would take some time. As for this, Tina needed to finish crafting at least 10 gemstones or jewelry while focused, and additionally get her crystal tree to magnificent quality. Because of this, Tina took a break and turned her attention to the Master Mixologist aspiration, where she would be able to put her Mixologist certification to good use. First point of call was moving some plants to the greenhouse to make space for a bar and 2 bar stools before Tina got to work mixing some drinks. And it was as she mixed these drinks that she realized she couldn't drink them all, and not wanting to be wasteful, she decided that she needed someone to give these drinks to. Say, a specter perhaps. She'd learnt a little about these floaty ghosts and they often reciprocated when gifted. More importantly was that she desperately wanted one of the gifts that they could hand out. But to run into specters, Tina would need to embrace a little haunting, and so she changed her residential lot into a haunted house residential lot, with the goal of attracting some specters, and I guess gaining 250 satisfaction points per day of living in a haunted house was a nice bonus as well. After making 10 drinks, Tina then used her phone to enter straight into the mixologist branch of the culinary career, which she was able to do thanks to her mixologist certification, and she even got a signing bonus of around 1,200 simoleons. Entering the culinary career saw Tina complete the first 2 stages of the Master Mixologist aspiration, and truthfully she felt that she could fully complete this aspiration in a single day. After having a quick nap in front of a cozy, roaring fire, Tina then whipped out her phone to plan a social event. She opted for a neighborhood potluck, because rather than make food for her guests, Tina wanted others to bring her food. After all, she was providing the drinks. Tina mixed a couple of drinks during the event to complete her aspiration goals, and also made sure that she had plenty of time to enjoy the food and the company. I mean, you better believe that bartender Tina brought all the boys to the yard. Well, the boys and Rory the werewolf. With Mars being problematic and Sergio being a bad kisser, Tina turned her attention to Jajomar, and much to Sergio's ire, the two shared a steamy kiss. Sergio's little tantrum didn't faze Tina in the slightest. They weren't exclusive, and so Sergio would just have to deal with it. Tina continued to mix many excellent quality drinks that evening, my favorite of which were water and sparkling water. You know, nothing like pouring a great glass of water to prove that you're a mixologist. By mixing 3 drinks during the event and 5 different excellent quality drinks right after, Tina managed to complete the Master Mixologist aspiration in full, a feat which earned her the Potion Master trait. This allows Tina to make all sorts of mood-boosting drinks, though while they're very strong and effective, they also come with a hefty 1,000 simoleon price tag. Somehow the party ended up with Tina and 5 men plus Rory all hanging out in her bedroom dancing. I wasn't sure what to make of this, but I will say that Jesse's outfit was giving. And when the others left the bedroom, I may have caught him flirting with Dakota, who seemed kind of into it. I guess now we know why those romances never stuck. And it was all but confirmed when Jesse pulled Tina into the bathroom for a deep and meaningful conversation, where he confirmed to her that he had the hots for Dakota. And seconds later, Jesse was seen telling off Rory Oaklow for no apparent reason. Maybe he suspected that Rory liked Dakota? I don't know. Werewolf love triangles. Hard to understand, am I right? Jesse is just so messy. Anyway, the event ended up being gold rated, which saw Tina earn herself an ugly grill. And as Rory and the men filed out, she then picked up some of her drinks and spent some time gifting them to specters. She received some wraith wax and a bizarre idol, but sadly these weren't the specter gifts that she was searching for. After spending some time cleaning up after the party, Tina went to sleep. She then woke on Saturday morning regretting the time that she wasted by recovering energy. And after using the gift of Sulani power on her crystal tree and fixing her needs, she then turned her attention to gemology. For her aspirations, she needed to finish crafting jewelry or gemstones while focused. And so I had her use her new potions master trait to brew and drink a focused potion, which immediately put her in a very focused mood. And while focused, I had Tina travel to the Casper Gallery in San Myshuno, where she could use the art supplies to create some mathematical diagrams. At least that was the plan, but for some reason traveling got rid of her hyper-focused mood. And so I used satisfaction points to purchase a focused potion instead. Seeing that I had a very healthy points balance, I also took a moment to purchase the seldom sleepy reward trait to reduce how quickly Tina's energy need decays. After drinking the potion to become highly focused, Tina then made her way to the art room and started making mathematical diagrams. She made 3 of them, and yes, in what I am calling a moment of creative fatigue, she made the exact same diagram 3 times. In the process, she discovered that she liked painting, and she then popped all of these into her inventory and returned home. She placed the diagrams all around her gemology table and enabled each of their emotional auras so that they would assist in keeping Tina focused whenever she's crafting on the gemology table. But there was no time to craft, because Tina needed to bake an apple pie for the Finchwick Fair. That weird fair had crept up on her like a clown in a horror movie. Now you might be thinking that comparing a country fair to a horror movie is a little extreme. In this case it's warranted, because the Finchwick Fair organizers are known to steal anything and everything that's put up for judging. This isn't a big deal when it comes to pies or flowers, but make no mistake, they'll steal your cows, chickens, and your llamas too. In reality, this is just a current glitch whereby anything you submit for judging is lost forever, but for storyline purposes, the Finchwick Fair organizers are evil animal burglars. Luckily, this Saturday it was simply a crop fair, meaning no animals would be stolen. Tina invited Jajomar to go to the fair with her, and not even the sunlight burning his vampire skin could stop him from wanting to flirt with Tina. Tina submitted her apple pie into the pie competition and her begonia into the garden competition, and as she sat and chatted with Jajomar, you're probably thinking, if the organizers are evil and will steal Tina's submissions, why enter? Well, it's the only way to complete the Finchwick Fair Ribbons collection, and I honestly think that this is the most difficult collection to complete. So I needed to get started early. Also yes, this means you might see me trading a beloved llama for the chance to get a ribbon in the future. Tina danced the night away and chatted with others while her submissions were judged. And when the Finchwick Fair eventually ended, she received absolutely nothing for her pie. Outrageous, I know. But at least on the flip side, she earned first place in the garden competition. She left the fair and headed to her first day of work in the Mixologist career 5 hours late. Better late than never. She also swiped an element that day from work, so you know, she was starting strong. After returning home at 1 AM, Tina quickly whipped up a bite to eat and then poured a few drinks to complete her daily work task. and more importantly to then use these drinks as gifts for specters. Unfortunately though, she still didn't get the object that she was looking for. Afterwards, she fixed her needs and sold her produce before then turning her attention to crystal crafting. Annoyingly, the mathematical diagrams weren't quite making Tina focus the way I'd hoped that their emotional aura would. And so to ensure that she was making progress towards her aspiration, I had her purchase and drink another focus potion, which ensured that Tina was in a focused mood when completing her jewelry. Tina followed this up by crafting a star-shaped amethyst gemstone, plus an amethyst ring. Why the amethyst, you ask? Well, when charged on the crystal grid, the power of this gemstone is to make a sim's energy recharge 25% faster while sleeping, and hence it was another key component in helping Tina overcome the energy need and waste as little time sleeping as possible. Plus, I could set the ring to only be worn with her pajamas, which would make it lose charge really slowly. Following this, Tina crafted a set of hematite earrings which would again give her more death-proofing jewelry options, and after finishing up jewelry crafting, Tina went straight to work. Upon returning home, she was promoted. Also, you better believe that she stole another object while at work. As far as Tina was concerned, it was part of her bonus. Following a quick nap, Tina woke and started removing the haunted things from her house. I mean, weird puddles? No thank you. She also made some more drinks and then gifted them to specters, though unfortunately all she got was more wraith wax. She had so much that I decided it was time to turn some into candles. These candles are meant to make the place less haunted, but visually they kind of do the opposite. Come morning, Tina took care of her plants and sold some produce, and then the rest of the day was spent crafting gemstones and jewelry, with Tina purchasing and drinking focused potions whenever needed to ensure that she'd be making constant progress towards her aspiration. I figured she had the satisfaction points to spare, in addition to a cut sapphire and cut orange topaz which could be charged and used to help prevent mental and creative burnout respectively. Tina also made additional pieces of hematite and amethyst jewelry. You know, you can never have too many spares. It was during this crafting frenzy that Tina managed to reach level 10 of the gemology skill, and she literally had too much jewelry for her charging grid. Hence I bought her some more and then organized her jewelry. One grid for hematite jewelry, one for amethyst, and one for gemstones. And after this, Tina used her gift of Sulani power to make her crystal tree magnificent before racing off to work, where she closed in on her next promotion. When she arrived home, I had Tina pop on her charged amethyst jewelry and go straight to sleep for a few hours. After waking, I had Tina fix her needs before it was once again time to make drinks and gift them to specters. But sadly, all Tina got was more bizarre idols. Tina's day was relatively predictable. She sold her plant's produce, removed haunted things from her house, and then got to work crafting. This time she produced 2 diamond spires, and these would be the gemstones that she'd use to absorb energy from once her crystal crafter aspiration was completed. Then for the final piece of jewelry that she needed to make for her aspiration, she decided to craft a peach plum bob bracelet. Charged peach helps Sims control their anger and boost relationships with family members, and you better believe that Tina was making this bracelet as a gift for her ghost mother Sally. I won't lie to you, it turned out a little bit uglier than I had envisioned. But making this piece of jewelry completed the 3rd stage of the Crystal Crafter aspiration, bringing Tina that little bit closer to overcoming the energy need. She spent the night tending to her plants, and strangely Gildry the Ghost showed up that night as well. And while Tina was in the mood to gift things to specters, Gildry the Ghost was in the mood to flirt. As for Tina, well, she was happy to entertain him. I mean, what's the worst a deeply in love ghost can do? Maybe don't answer that. After a night's rest, Tina spent the morning supercelling her crops and tending to them, before playing in some leaves. I know, she's living the life. As busy as life can become, I think it's always important to have a few little moments where you can slow down. Following this, Tina decided to clean out her insect farms. You see, rather than raising regular beetles, Tina wanted to swap to raising bombardier beetles, and this was because she needed the bombardier beetle nuggets that they produced. These creepy crawlies may look like they escaped from hell itself, but I promise they're important. And like, you know, kind of cute. Kind of. Okay, I give up on trying to sell this, they're horrifying. But what's less horrifying is searching for crystals. And for Tina's aspiration, she needed a rare jet crystal. And so she spent the rest of the day digging up crystal rocks in Oasis Springs to try and find one. Thanks to Tina having at least level 9 of the gemology skill, she finds 3 crystals at a time when digging up crystal rocks. And so I did go into this hopeful. But after a full day of digging, sadly she couldn't find that elusive jet that she was after. Upon returning home, Tina used her gift of Sulani power on her crystal tree to make it perfect quality. While it was still growing, once fully grown, the higher quality the crystal tree, the rarer the crystals it produces can be. And Tina was hoping that if she couldn't find a jet by digging, then maybe her crystal tree would grow her one. Tina took a moment to change her hematite jewelry, opting for some heavy earrings, before then fixing her needs, paying her bills, and settling in for a night of gifting Specters drinks. She received a Specter sip, which drinking saw Tina reach level 7 of the acting skill, and it was then that Tina felt a strange presence among her. It was one of pure hatred, of rage, terror, and ultimately evil. It was Temperance. Gildry appeared first to warn Tina, and not a moment later, Temperance appeared. Only, Tina's a super sim, and so she simply said hello, and thanks to all the positive traits, Temperance became her bestie. But even as besties, Temperance was being a little bit rude, and so Tina had a chat with her, where she quickly uncovered her weakness. Those idols that Tina didn't care for, well, Temperance was horrified of them, and so Tina whipped a couple out. They immediately burst into flames, leaving Temperance horrified. She fled the scene fast, looking to escape the blazing idols, and she even almost tripped on the way out. Love that for her. Later that night, Tina received another Specter sip, and drinking this boosted her acting skill all the way to 10. Honestly, I was a little bit stunned as I didn't remember these being so overpowered. So I think they might take into account all of Tina's skill boosting traits. Sally also made an appearance that night, and sensing an opportunity, Tina decided to gift her mother the jewelry that she made her, and Sally absolutely loved it. Then another gifted Specter led to another Specter sip, and drinking this one saw Tina both acquire and jump all the way to level 6 of the horse riding skill, all without ever having ridden a horse. I have no words. The following day, Tina super sold her plants and then worked on crafting very expensive gemstones. She was trying to make one worth over 2,500 simoleons that she could then sell for her aspiration. But after a few initial attempts, Tina's creations were falling short of the 2,500 simoleon goalpost. And so I decided to make a plumbite gnome while using a focus potion to remain in the ideal crafting mood. Thankfully, I was swimming in satisfaction points due to the 250 points received per night of haunted house living, and so buying these potions really wasn't an issue. Also, I should let you know that I don't plan on using charged plumbite in this playthrough. Its effect is to slowly recharge all of your Sims needs constantly, and I felt that it would be too overpowered and take away from the Super Sim challenge being, well, challenging. The plumbite gemstone turned out to have a value of just over 2,500 simoleons. Tina sold it for a cash boost, and its creation also made progress towards her aspiration. Pleased, Tina then went to fix up her needs, and it was as she later went to tend to her garden that she realized her crystal tree had grown up, which meant more opportunities to find the jet crystal that she was after. As the sun began to set, Tina headed inside and took a nap, and later that night she gave more gifts to Specters, and sadly just received more wraith wax in return. Then at the crack of dawn, Tina's crystal tree began to shimmer and gemstones began to appear on it. While it did grow some rare crystals, there was unfortunately no jet. Then after some morning gardening, Tina decided to focus on another important part of Super Sim life, university. The change of scenery, the parties, the drama, the university organizations, and of course the romantic interests. She was ready to embrace it all, but first she needed a free ride. And being a Super Sim, she was pretty sure that she could get it. Using her mailbox, Tina applied for an absurd amount of scholarships: athletics, building the future, food and drink, friend of the animals, future star, the great outdoors, super scout, workplace scholar, and Copperdale residence. Tina was ready to be handed money, but she needed to wait a little while for her scholarship results. She spent the rest of the day exploring and digging up crystal rocks, This time she focused in on Copperdale and then later Willow Creek, but sadly she was unable to find a jet. Tina returned home and took care of her needs before racing off to work, where she was promoted to a chief drink operator, and as per usual, she did a little workplace swiping to celebrate. After spending some time sleeping, Tina woke and gave out more gifts to specters. She was seriously beginning to feel like her father Clement Frost with the amount of gifts that she was giving out. Once again though, she didn't get what she needed, and when the sun rose in the morning, her crystal tree also didn't produce the jet that she was after either. Luck just didn't seem to be on her side. Tina sold and tended to her crops, dehaunted her house, and then decided that it was time to get a better bed. Her current bed had base 4 energy, though as it was upgraded with massage controls, it was actually very effective. That being said, she decided to purchase the Cozy Crafter bed from the Cats and Dogs expansion pack. While it's not the best bed in the game, it has base 8 energy and also has a really great look, and aesthetics are important. Tina spent a little time upgrading her new bed with massage controls for increased energy gain and additionally mattress firmness, so that if she did end up sleeping, then she'd likely wake up a little happier. And all this upgrading saw Tina reach level 10 of the handiness skill. After the upgrading, Tina turned her attention to feeding and nurturing her bombardier beetles, and more importantly collecting the bombardier beetle nuggets that they'd produced. But before I could make use of these nuggets, Tina desperately needed to spend a few minutes playing games to fix up her fun need before it was then time for work. Upon returning home, both her hunger and energy needs were low, and so I had her use her bombardier beetle nuggets to create bombardier beetle stir fry. What's so special about this dish, you ask? Well, in addition to filling up a Sim's hunger need, it also boosts their energy need too, and so eating it here and there will help to keep Tina awake, and could even make it so that she never needs to sleep again. 2 servings later and Tina was no longer tired in the slightest, and she spent the rest of the night gifting specters and not getting what she wanted, before then harvesting crystals from her crystal tree and once again not getting what she wanted. Tina took care of her plants that morning and also spent some time cleaning the house and playing guitar, all the while keeping her energy need high through her bombardier beetle stir fry, which kind of set her on fire, but what can I say? High risk, high reward. I'm here for it. Later in the afternoon, Tina went to work, where she gained a big performance boost thanks to her responsible trait, and she ended the day being promoted to a drink master at rank 9 in the career, and this is a very important career level. Believe it or not, I ideally don't want Tina to be promoted until she gets a nifty pop-up that can only happen at this rank of the Mixologist career. I know, easier said than done as Tina gets promoted insanely fast. Once again, Tina struggled to chase down the specter gift that she was after, and she took out her rage by summoning a volcanic bomb that night that she later broke open hoping to get the jet crystal. To no one's surprise, she didn't get it, and in more frustrating news, come early morning the crystal tree once again failed to come through with producing the jet. After feeding her beetles, Tina then ventured around Oasis Springs looking for the jet. She'd been so unlucky that by now she'd found every single base game crystal except for jet, and she'd found most of the ones brought in through various packs too. To no one's surprise, Tina didn't find what she was after. She returned home desperate to pee, and thankfully she made it to the bathroom in time. But then that night her luck changed. She prepared gifts for the specters, and just after midnight Tina came across the rare, nerdy specter with glasses. I know, super cute. But more importantly is that a little later in the night a specter finally gifted Tina what she was after, being an unassuming candy jar. She picked it up, paid her bills, and placed it down inside. Now this might look like a regular decoration, but it is so much more. Sims can choose to eat candy from this jar, which provides them with an energized moodlet for a little while. And while this moodlet is active, your Sim's energy need will increase rather than decrease, meaning that it was another very powerful energy need filler. That being said, you can only eat from it around once per day, as repeatedly eating the forbidden candy will make your Sim uncomfortable and negate the positive effects. candy jar acquired, Tina then converted her house back to a normal residential lot. Yes, she had had enough of the hauntings. And in more great news, when her crystal tree began to shimmer at 5 AM, tucked away in its leaves was a jet crystal that she'd been so desperately searching for. She quickly harvested it and then straight away began crafting a skull-shaped jet gemstone, excited that she could finally complete her aspiration. Once crafted, she popped it straight onto the crystal grid, where it would begin to charge once night fell. And she also took a moment to rotate out her hematite jewelry, opting to wear her bracelet. Also, it's worth knowing that her plants all glitched and sadly reset, so she's also dealing with that. After spending the morning tending to her garden, Tina then went and checked the mail, and her scholarship application results had arrived. Of the 9 that she applied for, 8 were approved, with Tina only being denied the Building the Future scholarship. She then applied to universities before deciding it was time to prepare for the move. While she loved her little cottage, she also felt like she'd outgrown it. She had no space for all of her things, and she also wanted to experience campus life. And Tina started to mentally prepare herself to leave her home, and this included taking a moment to nap in front of the roaring fireplace, a comfort that she would dearly miss. In addition to preparing to move out, she was also preparing for uni life, and as an athletics scholar, Tina purchased a soccer ball and spent some time juggling with it, eager to impress future teammates with her skills. Some of this practice was done in freezing cold water. Why? I don't know, Tina just did that. But for storyline purposes, this is the Sims version of when someone in a movie goes and trains in the mountains for 3 days and comes back with some insane new power and the ability to look down on everyone who hasn't trained atop a mountain. Anyway, Tina's inventory was a little bloated too, and so she took a moment to reorganize it and sell a few things that she no longer needed, and she also sold some objects around the house that she didn't currently have a use for, like her giant wishing well. It should be noted that at this stage, Tina's household funds had grown considerably, and she was sitting on over 50,000 simoleons, a massive amount. That night, Tina also took a moment to let her mother Sally know that she wouldn't be left behind at the house. You know, despite all the drama, they'd kind of become besties. With uni coming up, Tina also purchased 4 Fear Begone potions to clear all of her fears. Seriously, they were getting out of control. And she also treated herself to the Speed Cleaner trait for 500 points, as she felt that it would help her deal with messy uni life. After a night of moonlight charging, come morning, her cut jet gemstone was imbued with the moonlight power needed to summon the Grim Reaper, and Tina did just that. And as the Grim Reaper glided across the snow towards Tina's house, Tina completed the Crystal Crafter aspiration and was awarded the Attuned trait. And acquiring this trait saw Tina complete her journey to overcoming the energy need, and it's likely that unless she wanted to, then she would never really need to sleep again. As Tina made the Grim Reaper her friend and feel welcome in her home, she was thrilled with how much more productive she'd be. In the odd chance she did need to sleep, an expensive and fully upgraded bed paired with charged amethyst jewelry would see her energy need fill up super fast. Of course, Tina didn't think it would need to come to this, as the seldom sleepy reward trait would slow her energy needs decay. Plus, she could increase her energy by eating Bombardier beetle stir fry made from the nuggets that her beetles produced, from eating forbidden candy, and additionally from absorbing energy from crystals thanks to her attuned trait. And of course, the power of the crystals that she absorbed energy from could be recharged rather easily. By rotating between these methods, she also wouldn't have to worry about cooldowns. On Thursday morning, the mail arrived, and Tina rushed to grab it and read her university letter. It was a big win, and she was accepted into the distinguished degree for every single possible degree. All she had to do was pick which one she wanted to complete. It was then time to pack her things, and emptying out the house was a truly cathartic experience for her. While she left many of the standard material objects behind, she took most of the important knickknacks and collectibles that she'd found, as well as many craftables with her. Some things did have to go into her household inventory, which she would struggle to access on campus, but many other things made it into her personal inventory, and she'd still have access to them. Of course, Sally's grave was coming along too. Everything was packed and Tina was about to choose a degree and leave home for good. But first, she wanted to slow down a little and spend one last time staring into her roaring fireplace. The heat licked her fingertips, and Tina got excited and a little nervous about what was to come. One thing was certain though, her energy need wouldn't be holding her back. Just before we finish, know that an old natural history museum has been listed for sale in Brindleton Bay. While stunning, it's also largely empty, and it comes with a 74,000 simoleon price tag. Interesting. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed, then consider subscribing to stay up to date with the series. And I hope you have an amazing day. See you later.